22nd of last seed, 4th era. Year 8. I hold in my mind the proof of my strange destiny. The Night Mother herself has appeared before me, manifested her will and spirit before me not once, twice in less than a decade. The first was at her very own cryptid place, which I shall not name in these pages. The second was in a secret place I was drawn to, wherein I was tasked, along with 2 other, let us call them former speakers, to find the blood heir of our most grievous collective sin, Lucian Lachance. I was stripped of my position as speaker, a fact I find almost more relief than punishment. After Lachance's death, being allowed to retain my robe and office as speaker seemed somehow more of a reward than a fitting end, given my hand in his death. My bloody hand. As to the listener, they have other speakers, now, and I have little fear about their ability to continue without my direct involvement. The Night Mother has seen fit to give me the means to at last make reparations to her and our dread father. And to my brother, Lucian. I must not fail him. Them. Again. 9th of Evening Star, 4th era. Year 15. Dragonstar has proven a fruitless journey for me. I have wandered far afield, secreting myself with wanderers, slavers, bandits, nobles, craftsmen, and soldiers, all to no avail. I have become convinced that his heir is not here. The campaign to take Orsinian has further complicated my search, but I believe I have done all that I can here. One last push, the soldiers say, and so I leave in the morning for the front. From there, I will secret myself as a healer, and escort the wounded back to High Rock, thus affording me additional protection, and a chance to learn more about a province I have studied, but have never been to. Once I arrive, it should make my search that much easier. 3rd of Huffire, 4th era. Year 34. I thought I understood deception. I had thought I mastered guile and art, secrecy, and whispers. I was woefully mistaken. For nearly 20 years I have roamed High Rock, amongst all walks of life, in all social circles. Always careful. Always careful. I have burned all journals, but this one. I have begun to write in code. I have seen noblemen and women fall from dazzling heights reached generations ago by some cunning, long-venerated ancestor, only to become the wealthiest beggar the world will ever know, unable to even buy food or wine at the local tavern, for fear of refusal due to a successful plot and rumor pitted against him. I have learned vital skills here. I can only claim that education as the reason for the length of my stay. I think, perhaps, that these lessons taught me not merely how to craft a proper dagger-in-the-back conspiracy, but how to sniff one out before it takes root. This is Lucian's legacy flowering within me, I think. The need to be able to see the truth behind the action, or the words presented to me. Perhaps if I had that skill. Sith's blood, can it really be over 30 years ago? I might have seen the truth in time to save him, rather than taking the time to slay him. The righteous abandon with which we executed him, his is the one death that sickens me. I awoke yesterday with his screams in my head. I must leave here to continue my search. To that end, I shall make my way to the Divide, and join a merchant caravan to Markarth from there. It is the wrong time of year to go to Skyrim, weather-wise, but I have waited long enough. His heir is not in High Rock, of that I am certain. Time to look toward Skyrim for salvation. Near the gate to the Sea of Ghosts, in a shack forgotten by all, I wait. Second of Second Seed, 4th Era, year 47. In the 10 years that I have called the Reach my home, I must have crested every rise, visited every ruin, spoken to every farmer, miner, soldier, and skooma dealer, to no avail. Skyrim, you are a vast and varied province, indeed. I have not narrowed down the list of likely locations for the child, say that he is not, nor has he been, here. He no doubt has children of his own, by now, assuming he lives. The larger issue is that my brother visited veritably all corners of Skyrim in his time here. I can see why. There are places, in the Reach, alone, that can take your very breath when come upon unaware. Though both harsh and beautiful, I must not allow myself to be waylaid. Each new vista, forest, or Nirnrood song must be staved off, lest it distract me from my true mission. I must find a way to balance thorough investigation with speed and haste. Each day that passes, the trail grows colder. I must find him, or his heirs. I can only hope that I will know them when I see them. 21st of Frostfall, 4th Era, year 62. Belisarius, sweet brother. Belisarius is gone from the world once more. His nephew's body was already 35 when the dark miracle was performed, when Belisarius possessed him, and that was over 50 years ago. Though his mind and heart remained stalwartly bound to our mother's decree, his borrowed body was weak and of no use to the Brotherhood anymore. He visits me in my dreams. He is haunted by his failure, and Sid has not let him live that failure down, an eternal torment. I can only pray that one day he will be able to find peace in the void, at the feet of our dread father. He has confirmed that Lachance's blood does not lay in Somerset, Valenwood, or elsewhere, though he chased traveling or fleeing contracts to each of these lands in his time before being named speaker. While that conclusion brought Belisarius no comfort during his days of wandering and searching, it does bring some to me, delivering with it some peace of mind that I may, indeed, be at last walking toward the end of my predestined path. 17th of Rain's Hand, 4th Era, year 78. I have combed the entire south of Skyrim, spending the last 2 years here, in Riften. I had put off going to that thrice-cursed city, not wanting to see yet one more reminder of the work of Belamont. We had a sanctuary there, but it was brought low by the townspeople at the urging of one of Belamont's plots while we were all hunting for the traitor. Had we only known. The townsfolk formed a mob and marched, with the requisite torches and pitchforks, I'm told. Between the few Argonians who lived in Riften at the time, and a mage of some minor repute, they collapsed the sanctuary, trapping the family that lived within. None escaped to tell the tale. I had heard the overview of the occurrence, but not its detail, until I at last arrived in the Routeway. There I met Van Notta Mallory, a Breton who styled herself an arranger for the Thieves' Guild. Surprisingly, we became well acquainted quite quickly. Over a noxious-smelling pint of ale, she told me the tale of the fallen sanctuary, and that there was nothing the guild could have done about it. They would have been fine, were it not for the mage. His power sealed the fate of those inside when he collapsed the house and its foundation, blocking the escape so carefully crafted. With Vanatta's help, I was able to recover the safe house beneath the city. A place the others should have been able to escape to, had their fates been different. I considered establishing a new family here, but quickly realized the safe house was too small for that. Further, it would not speed the process of finding my quarry. I allowed Van Notta to make some quiet inquiries as to where I might look. She knew, or knew those who knew all of Skyrim. She would know where to find those in hiding, or those who had rather more money than their station would otherwise allow, such as the secret heir of my fallen brother. It seemed, to me, wiser than merely walking from town to town, farm to farm, and hoping I would stumble into fortune. Now we shall see how wise a decision that truly was. I have spoken to the Fokri Sanctuary, and let them know where I am, should they need an agent in the region. Idle hands are, after all, the bane of progress. High above the rocks, and beneath the docks, under an arch, I wait. Fourth of Sun's Dusk, 4th Era, Year 82. Danata Mallory has proven an absolute gift to my cause. Through her, I have found news and information I would never have uncovered on my own. Some of it has been excellent, like the discovery of a long-forgotten sanctuary in Winterhold, which was referenced in some very old scrolls she procured for a private collector. Another, several leads on potential candidates for Lucian's bloodline, moderately wealthy families owning property with no obvious way to have come into such coin as would be needed to do so. Each has turned out to be a false lead, but I am growing closer. I can feel it. The most recent news was less than savory. Banis. He has been spotted in Morrowind wearing the raiment of the Morag Tome. My mission may be to ignite the passion and reveal the heritage of my brother's child, but Banis has managed to ignite my own and reveal the light of rage. I have booked passage to Morrowind. I will find and confront him, for he has abandoned the search and Mother's own will. This will not stand. 11th of First Seed, 4th Era, Year 83. I arrived in Blacklight 3 days ago. The city is astonishing. I have been away from the imperial seat for so very long that a city of such age and magnitude was nearly overwhelming. My every perception was assailed as I walked its streets. It took me hours to find my center and cut through the morass of sensations evoked by this storied place. There, in sight of the root spire, in the shadow of Azure's fane, I found Banis and confronted him. We argued bitterly. I harried his stalwart march deeper into the city's darker regions as he attempted to turn away from me, from the truth. I knew it was a trap, of course, but I was full of zeal and pride and righteous rage at the fall of one I once held so dear. I would have an explanation, or I would be the living wrath of Sithis this day. In a wide alley, he finally turned and faced me. Our words grew heated as he rationalized his betrayal. The Night Mother is asking the impossible, and I devoted nearly 80 years to finding this shadow she's set us to hunt. I say it is enough. And the final abhorrent blasphemy, if the Night Mother truly believes we three could find salvation in this damned cradle tale, the blood of Lachance that will save the Brotherhood. Separating and spitting each syllable of that last word at me like an accusation, then she is mad. And if you want to devote your remaining days to that madness, you will do it alone. It was enough. I drew my weapon and flew at him with all the pent-up rage, anger, guilt, and pain I had held within me all of these years. Here, at last, was a target worthy of that collective force. A true betrayer, from his own lips condemned, and I had forged the sword of rage and woe in slow fires within my soul for nearly a century. Unleashed all that I had to send this traitor to Sithis to be the instrument of punishment. It wasn't enough. Banis's rebirth had given him a body younger than mine by decades. I had zeal, rage, and passion on my side, while he had relative youth, strength, and commitment on his. Our skills were arguably evenly matched, but he moved with a liquidity I simply couldn't match. I was fighting through water, caught on more than one occasion in the sleeves of my own robes, I'm humiliated to say, whereas he had no such impediment. I would have been more than a match for any city guard, mercenary, or simple soldier, but against a fellow speaker with nearly as many years as long as I, and in a younger, stronger body, only by a miracle could I have won that duel. At last, bloody, disarmed, and fuming in shock and rage, I found myself on the ground beneath him. He stood over me, blade pointed at my throat. Sister. I protested he had no right to call me that any longer, but he pressed on me. I will call you that for the rest of time. The Brotherhood has ended. So many sanctuaries are unlimited, or outright closed, now. The listener is dead, and while the Night Mother will undoubtedly choose a successor, it will be too late to say what we have, what we want. The shock upon my face at this pronouncement must have shown clearly, for he nodded and went on. I think she fears to appoint another listener in hopes that we will find her precious. Lucy and heir, before time and events force her to do so. I told him that we must, then, find him. If what he said was true, surely we must be close. No, sister. If she would make one of us the listener, then I would return, but this madness must end, here and now. I accused him of coveting the role, and trying or hoping to strong-arm his way back to the Brotherhood. That all he truly wanted was power, the listenership, for which he was utterly unworthy. He surprised me, then, looking surprised, himself. Of course I'm unworthy. I was thinking that you should be listener. I would follow you, then. Together, we could truly rebuild the Brotherhood. I was stunned. The Night Mother chooses the listener. You know that. I protested. I still sat at the blind end of the alley, his sword lowering from my neck. Sister, she spoke to you, already. Me as well. Rule the Brotherhood, send agents out, if you must, to find Lachance's mythical heir, but rebuild. He enunciated each syllable for a fact. I considered. The idea had a twisted sense to it. With the Brotherhood's resources, the search would go much more swiftly, and all the while we could be building, sealing breaches, healing what once was, and shaping it into what it should again be. But no. That was clearly not the way. My decision must have shown on my face, for Bannis's own face fell. You refuse. It wasn't a question. I must. I said. If it were what the Night Mother wanted, she would have appeared to me, already. His face hardened, and I braced myself to meet his at long last. Go on, then. Let it end here in blood and betrayal, again. I spat these words at him. He would kill me now, and there was nothing more I could do to stop him. To my surprise, he sheathed his sword. Sister, I won't be the one to end your mad quest. I give you life and freedom. If you wish to spend both haunting the steps of a man we once wronged, then do so. Take this insanity down into the grave with you, for that is exactly where this obsession will lead you. For my part, I am done with it. I have outgrown such pretty tales. He turned to leave the alley. As he neared its mouth, he spoke one final piece. Do not come for me again, sister. This is the last gift I can give to you. Should you not obey me in this, he paused at the alley's mouth, not looking back at me, you will force my hand. And with that, I was alone. 11th of 1st Seed, 4th Era, Year 103. Even these many years later, I still reflect on my meeting with Bannis. The trap he set for me was clever. I do not know if he, himself, understood or understands the scope of it. By Sithis, I do not even know if he is still alive. I am the last, and if I should die, then all will be lost. I cannot exact revenge for his breach of the tenets, for I cannot defeat him. If I try to do so, I forfeit the search, forfeit the sacred charge given us all by the Night Mother, and I alone remain upon that path. He tested my resolve twice over, to claim the status of listener, and shape the destiny of the future, all while not giving up on the search for the heir, and the balance of the tenets, and the quest. I must remain strong, and balance rage and calculation, hope and despair, speed with thoroughness, and faith with zeal. Old, but proud, Van Nada has never stopped looking for me. Has never given me cause to doubt her ability, or her friendship. Staying here in Riften was a wise decision, but my spirit is restless. She has told me of a family in Hafengar. Records and letters tell of their rise to prominence, relatively speaking, at about the correct time. Mother, father, hear me. Let this at last be what? Be who I seek. I am so tired, now. I have to find the heir, if only so I can get a night's rest. A night's peace without my brother's whispering, or in some cases, screaming at me as I dream. 22nd of Mid-Year, 4th Era, Year 103. Hail Sidhis. At last. At long, long last, I have found the line the heir. I saw him in the markets of Solitude, as expected. He owns a manor just outside of Solitude, and comes here to trade on the same day each week, just as Van Nada said, may the Night Mother hold her line in a cold embrace. His name is Amatius, and looking into his face, his eyes, there can be no doubt. He is Lucian to the very life. I approached him at his midday meal in the open air, near the executioner's block. He often moods there, he told me. Something about it always seemed peaceful to him. I asked if he were an Amatius, and he was delighted. His line was unremarkable outside of the few circles they ran in. An old enough family, but nothing that should make an altmare sit up and take notice. I told him that I knew his grandfather, and that they wore the same face. He was surprised, but pleased, having never known his grandfathers. One died before his birth, and the other died when he was just a pup, as he chose to frame it. He invited me to dinner at his home so that I could meet the rest of his family and tell him old tales of his grandfather's escapades. Tomorrow, then, I shall at last fulfill my oath to the Night Mother. 23rd of Mid-Year, 4th Era, Year 103. I have failed. There is no other way to say it. I arrived at Beddoes Manor at the appointed hour, met his sickly wife and his young son, and had a humble but delicious meal with them. At first, and out of caution, given the audience, I styled Lucian as a skilled swordsman and traveler. I regaled them with his more colorful exploits, leaving out his reason for being in the particular situations entirely. Such innocent ears did not need to know that their newly minted hero was on contract business, doing the Night Mother's bidding. It was too soon for such truths. The boy was all eyes and smiles, imagining, I do not doubt, himself as Lucian in the dashing tales I told. The boy even embraced me before he was carried off to bed, in his mother's arms, hoping I would come again soon with more stories. When we were well and truly alone, Beto asked me plainly if it were all true, if even a single word had been true. I confessed that I had omitted certain details for his wife and son's benefit. He ventured to guess that Lucian was a mercenary, a sellsword, or perhaps even a sometime bandit. The time had come. I unfurled the tapestry of his heritage, his birthright, and watched as it took hold of him. And then watched as he took hold of me. At first his hand was gentle on my wrist, and I thought it a gesture of relief or awe, him needing someone living to touch, to anchor him in the here and now as he accepted the truth. I presented it to him as artlessly as I could. He bore the news as well as could be expected. After a moment of silence, he reached for his mug with his right hand, still holding my wrist in his left, or so I thought. Swift as a serpent, he drew his right hand from the table. In it was the knife he'd used to cut his meat. Before I understood what had happened, he'd stabbed me 3 times in the stomach and chest. He continued to hold my left hand. I could not get the sense of him. His face was so hatefully calm. He said to me, "Never darken my door again." I opened my mouth to speak, even as he released me, but he cut me off before I could get enough air in my lungs to push out the words. "You come into my house, and sit with my wife and my son, and you peddle this vile, monstrous slander? Truth or lies, it makes no difference. That man is long dead, and whatever he was, it is dust, just as he is. His voice never raised, never grew above a soft and deadly purr. I do not recall finding my feet, but remember finding myself staggering down the hill, toward the harbor. I met no patrolling guards, of course. They only appear when you want most to avoid them, after all, do they not? I remembered seeing an abandoned shack, dilapidated and forgotten, beyond the stone bridge on my way to Solitude. It was overgrown and unremarkable, making it the only choice for me, and so here I sit penning this entry. I must have spilled my inkwell. It's all over the front of my robe. I would hold out and heal from my wounds, then on to blacklight. No, not blacklight. I will go, next, to Riften. Perhaps the sanctuary there can offer some solution to this blunder. No sanctuary left in Riften. It is long since destroyed. I am so tired. Sleep will clear my mind. It is very cold. I must have left my cloak at Amatius's home. Never mind. Just some rest, now, Mother. Tomorrow I will speak to Amatius. I will make him see. I will make.
It is an honor to finally meet you, listener. In due time, listener. I was in Skyrim for nearly 70 years. Over time, I came to realize that Lachance had visited nearly every inch of it. After years of fruitless searching, my hope dwindled. I maintained regular contact with Banus and Belisarius. 140 years ago, Belisarius passed. His nephew was already 35 when he was possessed. His search ended in failure. I looked to no avail, but on the bright side, I was able to eliminate the southern part of Skyrim. 15 years later, I had received disturbing word regarding Banus Alor in Morrowind. It took me years to find him. He had betrayed the Brotherhood, hijacked his cousin's body, and became a member of the Morag Tong. What Banus said to me had disturbed me to my very being. He said that the Brotherhood was dead and forgotten. He had spoken with Belisarius, and between them they only knew of 3 active sanctuaries in all of Tamriel. I had known of 3 myself, but by that time, Dawnstar had closed its doors. 5 sanctuaries in all of Tamriel. The Brotherhood was nothing. My family abandoned me. For 20 years I stopped looking. Then one day I was shopping in Solitude, and I saw a man from across the marketplace. His eyes were Lucian's. I knew that I had found the descendant, so I met with him and explained the situation. He became enraged and stabbed me. My reflexes were dull. I hadn't handled a blade in almost 100 years. You will find the man's house near, just outside of Solitude. The family name is Amatius. Go with Sithis, listener. Long live the Brotherhood!